All right, welcome to the 3 essential keys to success as an acupuncturist in 2023. I'm Dr. Adrian Larsen. I'm excited to present this material. This is all new material. These are things I've never presented before. This is my best stuff yet. In today's topic, I want to talk about who this is targeted to, okay? Let me know if any of this touches a nerve or sounds like you. If you're tired of desperate patients coming to you as a last resort and then getting frustrated when they don't get instant results and then never come back, if that's you, then this webinar is for you. And if you're sick of trying to explain complicated TCM concepts to your patients only to have them stare back blankly at you, then this webinar is for you. And if you're wasting your energy on marketing, working your butt off to get more patients and still barely scraping by, this webinar is for you. Or, even worse, if you're working a second job to make ends meet, and a little secret, about 25% of acupuncturists are doing that. That's a tragedy. If you're doing that, this webinar is for you, so you can get out of that life. If you want to be the most sought after and successful acupuncturist in your city, this webinar is for you. And if you're ready for a thriving acupuncture practice, full of raving patients who believe in the power of acupuncture and who keep coming back for more, and referring their friends and family, this webinar is for you. Finally, if you're ready to step into your power as a highly skilled healer who communicates confidently with your patients, your colleagues, gets incredible results, and runs a thriving practice based on word-of-mouth referrals, then this webinar is for you. Here's a little preview of what we're going to cover today. On the webinar today, we're going to talk about the real reasons so many acupuncturists fail and why you should stop trying to explain Chinese medicine to your patients. We're going to talk about the answer is not spending more time on marketing or picking up a second job. That stuff doesn't work, and we're going to tell you what does. We're going to talk about how you can nail your consultations to land an 80 to 100% sign-up rate. And by sign-up, I mean signing up for a package of visits, not just one visit to see what happens. We're going to talk about how to set expectations so flawlessly in the first visit that your patients will keep coming back for more and more and more until they reach the maximum benefit they can get from you, and then they'll come back as wellness patients. We're going to talk about how you can actually make a comfortable living as an acupuncturist without selling yourself out or selling your patient short. And we're going to talk about the blueprint to more accurate diagnosis, better results, and more committed patients for your practice. Now, I want to throw in just a quick disclaimer, a quick thought for everybody here. We're going to talk about success today. We're going to talk about money today. We're going to talk about things that maybe feel a little icky to those of us who kind of have this altruistic healer mentality that we just want to help the world. And I'm right there with you. I just want to help the world. That's why I'm giving away my best information free. I'm not asking you for anything in return except your attention. If you'll give me some time and some interest in what I'm going to say, I promise you it will help. As for the money side of things, if you can't make a living, you can't help anyone. And the equation has to always be balanced. Yin and yang have to always be balanced. Therefore, you have to get paid what you deserve and what you're worth. You shouldn't have a problem with that. You should actually accept that joyfully because it means the more you get, the more you can give, the more good you can do. The equation stays balanced. All right, with that then, let's talk about results. What can you actually really expect to see if you'll do the things I teach you today? Well, let's hear from some people that are doing it. Dr. Andrew Greenberg, licensed acupuncturist. He runs Chi Harmony Acupuncture in New Jersey. Sees about 50 patients per week, and he does that part-time. He bills insurance, which isn't the most lucrative way to go, but he makes a very comfortable living part-time, which is great. He's confident in his ability to treat virtually anything that walks through the door. In his quote, he says, 99% of my patients get better almost immediately, which is huge and wonderful. And he does all of this without doing any marketing. It's 100% referral-based practice. This is a real guy, real numbers. This is what he does. Dr. Hunter Greenwood, he's a naturopath, an acupuncturist, and a chiropractor in Nixa, Missouri. He sees 150 to 200 per week. So that's a very busy practice. Annual revenue of $300K. His quote, he says, Meridia Technology has been the best company I've ever worked with. Thank you, we're honored. He also says, It's difficult to fit acupuncture and naturopathic care in a busy chiropractic practice. However, the time-saving features and detailed analysis of this system truly make it possible. And then finally, next, Dr. Jillian Imilkowski. She runs Bonita Vista Acupuncture in Chula Vista, California. She fully implemented the things I'm teaching today starting on January 1st of this year. So last month, literally. She closed 7 paid consults in the first week of doing what we teach. And these consults were treatment packages of 10 or 20 treatments paid up front. That's not a bad week right there. She says, I'm considering my investment paid for already in less than a week of use. She's been in practice about a year, and she's currently seeing 8 to 12 per day. Now, I know some are more busy than that, some are less, but 8 to 12 patients a day is a living. You can do well on that. And finally, Dr. Jared McCollum. Guy's a rock star, a superhero. He is awesome. He runs Healing Elements Acupuncture in Alberta. He sees about 100 a week. In the small town he's in, he's not actually in a big city, but he's in a smaller town. 50% of the people in the town are currently or have been his patients. People think, I've heard that, oh, I'm in a small town, so it's hard to get patients. Not when you're treating the whole town, it's not. We're going to talk about how he does that. He does zero marketing, 100% referral-based practice. And funny story, he's won the best alternative healthcare provider in his first year in business, and he's won it every year since. So in his community, they have the best of, you know. And the chiropractors in his town actually went to the board that does the best of awards and said, look, can we have our own designation? Because when you have best alternative healthcare provider, McCollum wins it every year. And we want to have a chance to win for once. So they asked for their own category so they didn't have to compete with him. By the way, he says that he wins because he uses our system, and he's used it since the day he opened. So now that you've met my clients, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Adrian Larsen, and I've got issues. That's enough of an introduction for now. Here's the issues I've got. Look, these are real statistics, and they're not good. Too many acupuncturists are failing. 7 out of 10 acupuncturists don't earn enough to pay their student loans. I didn't say don't earn enough to pay their rent and to drive a car and to live indoors and things like that. But once they've met their basic needs, they can't pay their student loans. So they literally aren't earning enough to even make it worth the time and effort they put in to become an acupuncturist. Nearly 50% of acupuncturists are working part-time, not by choice. Now, it's wonderful when you can work part-time by choice because that's all you need to do, and you can have a balanced life and give your best to your patients. But when you're working part-time because you only have 2 patients on the books this week, well, not good. 50% of the part-time acupuncturists also have a second job to make ends meet, and another 50% stat. After 10 years 10 years after graduation, statistics show that 50% of acupuncturists are no longer acupuncturists. They've taken all that training and all that effort and all that knowledge and skill that they've gained, and it's not doing anything. I hate to use the word, it's wasted because they're off doing something else because they have to make a living and they have to eat and they have to support themselves and their families. So I am not okay with these numbers, and I've been on a quest to change this for years. And I've been refining, and I've been learning, and I've been teaching, all in an effort to get past this and improve the profession. And the thing that baffled me is, guys, look, acupuncture works. We know this. We've got the studies, we've got the proof, and we've got thousands of years of history on our side telling us this stuff works. Shouldn't that be enough? If you have something that flat works, that's safe, that's effective, that's natural, shouldn't we all be wildly successful with that? Well, no, clearly not. So here's the interesting part, though. About 17% of acupuncturists make a 6-figure income, okay? So almost 20%, almost 1 in 5 are making a very comfortable living. They can pay their student loans back, they can have a nice lifestyle, they can go on vacation, they can live. They run successful practices. They don't have to worry about making ends meet. Why is that? And what do these 17% know that the other 83% don't know? That's what I've been dedicating my life to. Now, shortly after graduating, I had a breakthrough and I found the beginning of the answer. I don't want to say I found the whole answer because it's ongoing, 20 years of doing this, and it's evolved. It gets better and better. There is a blueprint to success as a holistic practitioner in a Western-minded world. And I've dedicated my life to refining and sharing that blueprint with you and with every practitioner I can reach. Why am I doing this? Well, simply, I believe in the power of acupuncture. I've believed in it since the moment I was first introduced to it, and I've pursued it religiously all this time. And I believe if we could reach more people with it, we can literally change the world. You can, and I can, and all of us can. And the world has never needed us more than it needs us right now. So I founded this company, Meridia Acupuncture Technology. We're here to serve you. These are some of my amazing staff of very skilled people that are dedicated and that really do have that motive, that they want to serve, they want to help, they want to make your life better and your patients' lives better. So looking at our team, we've been at this for 20 years. The company was founded in 2003. This is what we've done continually ever since then. So we're really excited, 20 years in business. We've helped thousands of practitioners succeed and thrive over that 20-year course. Through it all, we maintain a 4.9-star customer service rating, which is very important to us. We go the extra mile for you. 93% of our users consider their practices successful. And I think that's huge. That tells us who our customers are and what they can expect. And finally, those who are certified in our system, 98% of those run active and thriving practices right now. Therefore, if you look at the stats I told you before and you look at the stats on your screen right now, one of these things is not like the other. We're going to talk about why. So let's talk about our clients, the people that we work with. They generally make 50% more on average than their peers in acupuncture. And again, it's not all about the money, we know that, but it is about being able to live, being able to support what you need to support. And you can't do that if you're struggling. Our clients see an average of 12 patients per day. So about 50 patients in a 4-day work week, very comfortable to do and certainly adequate to make a comfortable living. That's twice the national average, guys. And over 75% of our clients make a personal salary, their salary, after they pay their practice expenses and everything, they get a 6-figure income. So our average client's practice brings in approximately $200,000. We recently just did a big survey to update these numbers. These numbers are fresh from 2023. As part of that survey, by the way, we asked, what is your biggest frustration as a practitioner? Now, 75% of people who answered our survey, these are acupuncturists, but who are not our clients, okay? So general acupuncturists out there who are not our users, 75% of them said patient commitment is the biggest problem. So patients will come in, but they won't stick around to complete the treatment plan, or patients will make an appointment and not show up. In general, it seems like patients are tire kickers, they're not interested, they're not committed. 75% struggle with that if they're not our clients. Those who are our customers, they listed patient commitment at a rate of 17%. So 17% of those who are our customers said patient commitment is their biggest frustration. That is a huge swing. It's a 60% reduction just about in the biggest issue people face. But you don't have to take it from me, because today we are delighted. We have a special guest who's going to join us and talk to us remotely from Canada. Special guest, Dr. Kenzie Agnew, who is an amazing practitioner. Dr. Kenzie, welcome. Take it away and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited that you guys have today joined this webinar. I can feel it deep within my heart that this is going to be life-altering for you guys. I would like to share a little about the journey of my practice with you. The system you are learning about today, I have fully embraced since day one of my practice. And just like you in school, I was terrified. Day one of school, they sat us down and started talking about the dreaded board exams and what it was going to entail to pass the exams. One teacher, he even quoted us 21 hours a day of studying in our final weeks of school. And the one day I kindly reminded him, I'm like, there are only 24 hours in the day. And he replied with, I know. So yeah, this was terrifying, daunting, dreadful, and honestly negatively impacted on my health. By the time I was done school, just like many of you were, I was losing hair, having night sweats, stress dreams. And then now I was supposed to go write these board exams and then start my career. I was completely destroyed and I didn't even know where to begin, let alone as a business owner. And I especially had no idea how to teach my patients years of what I just learned in school into their 15-minute consultations.
Hey,
However,
Dr. Kenzie.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to say, if you would like to see your slides too, because we got some slides up for you for some of the points you told me you wanted to mention, all you need to do is turn off your camera and then you'll be able to see them. But sorry to interrupt. Please keep going. I'm loving what you're saying.
Yeah, you bet. I'll turn my slides off here. Okay.
Okay, there we go. Good.
Okay. Yeah, so I didn't know how to teach my patients years of what I learned into school into this 15-minute consultation. But this is where it gets juicy. The system we are talking about today, I have used since day one of my career. I have never paid for advertising or even put any effort into it for that matter. I have a full practice and my cancellation spots fill up within a few minutes. And as of this point, 100% of my free consultations have converted into a new patient, therefore a paid patient. I support
Hey, Dr. Kenzie.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you again. You're on a roll. That didn't work. You might as well turn your camera back on so we can see your lovely face talking to us.
Okay.
And we'll look at the slides when you're done. So please keep going. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, folks. We're just keeping it real here. This is how it goes sometimes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So with my clinic income, I comfortably support myself financially and my dog Leonard, and I actually only work 3 days a week. I do this on purpose. I want to live. I don't want to just work in order to survive and get by. I want to be able to do the things that I want in life, and my practice is definitely one of them, but I have the perfect work-life balance. So I am so excited that you guys are here today and have joined this webinar. It is going to be life-changing. I really, really, really feel it. So yeah, Adrian, take it away.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Kenzie. We really appreciate it. I'm going to just run through your slides really quick that kind of weren't up while you were talking. Hey, we'll work this out for next webinar, but she has been practicing in 2020. So we're talking 3 years in practice, 60 patients a week, a wonderful work-life balance, a good income, and time to actually connect and give the patients what they need. I loved your point about filling the cancellation slot same day. Actually, you said within minutes. If you get a cancellation, there are people waiting to get in, which, I mean, that's a dream. Return patients, wellness patients, no effort on marketing because you didn't go to school to become a marketer. You went to school to become a healer, and that's where your heart is. So I love that you don't have to worry about marketing because of the word of mouth referrals. And the biggest thing, though, that 100% of your consultations have resulted in a paid first visit. Not many people can talk about that number, 100%. Now, I verified that number with you last week. Has anything changed in the last week, doctor?
Nothing's changed.
Still 100%. It's perfect batting out. If someone comes in to see you, they will end up paying you and becoming your patient.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. That is inspiring. Thank you so much. And I'll point out that Dr. Kenzie, she built her practice using the system we're going to talk about now. And as she said, she wants everyone to experience that same level of fulfillment and success. And so that was really cool to have you here. Really appreciate that. All right, folks, that's kind of the intro. That's the primer. Are you ready? Maybe you still have doubts in your mind. Maybe you're like, this guy is promising the sun, moon, and stars. It sounds too good to be true. I'm not asking you to believe me just because I tell you. I'm not even asking you to believe Dr. Kenzie, although she inspires the heck out of me. I am asking you, though, to open your mind, just allow some new ideas to come in. Try it on for size and see if it doesn't fit. And by the time we're done today, you might be thinking differently than you are right now. In fact, I hope you're thinking differently, because if you're not, then I've failed. And we can look at those ugly statistics I started with, and we can all expect that. Let's not do that. Let's do better. So, the 3 essential keys to success as an acupuncturist in 2023, because the most successful acupuncturists are following a blueprint, and we've taken that blueprint, we've refined it down into 3 essential keys for success. And these are fundamentals. These things never fail. There are 3 things that you must do, and if you do all 3 of these things correctly, then you have the kind of success we've been talking about. If you mess up on even one of these, then that is where the breakdown occurs and you struggle in your practice. And the best part is that anybody can do these things. It's not like this is something that is super hard to master. It's just that no one's taught you this stuff. So I'm going to teach you this stuff. Now, although the fundamentals never fail, unfortunately, too many of us get these things wrong. The typical acupuncturist, we looked at those statistics, but you're here today, which means you're not a typical acupuncturist. And so let's talk about how to crack that code and get that true success. Even if you suck at marketing, if you've never had a full practice since the day you started, even if you're doubting your ability as a healer, you feel like you don't have time to learn something new, which I think would be a little odd. If you don't have time, then why are you in a webinar today? You do have time to learn something new, and you're here because you want to. And even if you think you've tried everything out there, none of that matters. And here's why. This approach is universal. It's not complicated. In fact, it's unbelievably simple. And this is not some coaching program where you got to start over from the ground up and memorize a bunch of scripts and do a bunch of cheesy sales things. It's not about that at all. And it's not about you. It's not about your personality. It's not about your knowledge. It's not about your approach to acupuncture or the methods that you use. In fact, the problem is not you at all, but it may be the approach that you've been taught. If we get brutally honest with each other, we all went to school. We thought we were going to school to become acupuncturists, but really we went to school so that we could pass a test and get a license. That's what school gives you, and then you're done. That's what you wanted, that's what you got, that's what you paid all the money and the blood, sweat, and tears and time for. You got your license, and now, well, it's time to start to learn how to do it. But while you were in school, sacrificing and studying and struggling all those years, you learned a new language, a new worldview, a new way of thinking, and a new way of communicating. And unfortunately, that language, that method of communication, that thought process, all of that really kind of sucks if you're trying to communicate with patients and build a practice. Something gets lost in translation. So here's the first key to how you can have a successful practice. It's communication. I know, you think that sounds pretty simple. Come on, tell me something I didn't know. Shocking, right? It seems obvious, and yet so many of us are failing at this most fundamental first job. You know, you've seen that old thing. You had one job. Well, that first one job is that you've got to communicate. But so many of us send the wrong message in the wrong way. Patients end up confused. They don't get the benefits that they could have. In fact, some of them get scared away because we are so poor at communicating. However, it doesn't have to be that way. You just have to think a little different. And I'm going to talk to you about how to do that. It's not hard. You just have to step back for a second and consider a couple of things. You went to school to learn how to pass a test, not how to communicate. But here's a secret. Your patients don't speak that language you learned in school. And so stop trying to explain it to them. Let me give you an example. Picture this. You have a plumbing problem in your house. Maybe this has happened to you before. You open the cabinet under your sink, you see some water, you're like, oh no, something's gone wrong. So you call a plumber. The plumber comes out and takes a look at it and says, no, I just don't know. I don't know what's wrong. I don't think it's your pipes. But I know this other guy, try him. He's not really a plumber, he's a pipe bender. Why don't you call a pipe bender, see if he can help you out. I'm out. By the plumber leaves. And you're like, what? So you call the pipe bender dude, and he comes out and he does a little bit of looking around and some scratching his head and then a little meditation and chanting. And then he says, you know what? I know you think the problem is your pipes, but it's actually an issue with your floor. See, what's going on is the backwater valve is messing up the pressure in the ball cock, and the branch vent in the other room is missing a closet flange. So what you're going to need is a new escutcheon and a PRV, and then I'll check out the T&P before I go. It's going to cost you $1,000 when it's all said and done. It's probably going to take a few weeks to stop the leak, but I think it's going to work out. How's that sound? What do you think? Are you going to hire that guy? Did you understand a damn word I just said? That's what it sounds like when your patients come to you and you start talking TCM to them. Not only is it confusing, it's scary. They wonder if they're in the right place at all, or if they should give you their money, or if they should get out of there as soon as they possibly can before you infect them with whatever you just said. There are only two things your patient wants to know, okay? Two things that you have to communicate, and if you get these things right, you win, and if you get them wrong, you lose. That's it. The two things that you must communicate clearly and effectively to your patients are, you know what is wrong with them, and you know how to fix it. That's all they care about, guys. And the language that you use really matters. Remember my little plumber scenario a second ago? Now picture this. Suppose that you called that same plumber, and instead of showing up and scratching his head and referring you to some weird pipe bender guy that speaks voodoo, instead, that plumber comes in and says, oh, yeah, no, you just have a fitting that's a little loose. Listen, I'm going to tighten it up. You'll be fine. Oh, and by the way, while I'm down there, I'm going to check everything else, make sure it's all tight. Okay, good. Are you happy with that plumber? Absolutely. Are you clear about what was wrong and what he's going to do to fix it? Yep. Do you understand? Yeah. Something was loose. He's going to tighten it up. It's going to stop leaking. I get that. Perfect. Do it. Are you going to pay what he asks you to pay? Sure thing, because he's going to solve your problem, and you know he's going to solve your problem. It's clear, and it's responsive, and you get it. Do you care what size wrench he's going to use? Nope. Do you care what brand his tools are? Nope. Do you care where he went to plumbing school? Nope. Is he going to solve your problem because he knows what's wrong and he knows how to fix it? Yep. You're happy. That's all the communication you want. That's all your patients want from you guys. So what language do your patients speak? If you can't use TCM in explaining to them their problem, even though you know the problem and you know it in the terms that you've learned in school, what do your patients expect? Well, when they go to the doctor, they're looking at charts, illustrations, they're getting testing, they're getting imaging studies, they're getting test results that the doctor can point to and say, yeah, here's your problem. Look, we ran some tests. Here's how the tests came back. Here's what's wrong. So it's based on objective evidence, it's based on Western terminology, and this is what patients expect. They expect some kind of evidence and some kind of reasoning they can understand. So when you explain your diagnosis in TCM terms, you know, you're getting sick because you have a wind cold invasion, or liver qi stagnation is causing your PMS, or you have spleen qi deficiency and that's causing your fertility issue, or your anxiety is due to heart fire, whatever it is, it makes no sense. And as much as it's beautiful and wonderful to you, it is not to them. You've probably experienced this before. Unfortunately, too many have, where somebody comes in, you know, you talk about their problem and they have liver qi stagnation and you tell them that. And this actually happens. I've known someone who did this, got told they had liver qi stagnation. She went to the emergency room and said, I was just in to see the acupuncturist and said I have a liver problem, and they were really scared. She got a bunch of liver stuff, enzymes tested and so on, everything came back perfect, and the acupuncturist is an idiot. Now, that's how it comes across. Even though you never said there was a liver problem, yeah, you did. That's the thing. You've got to communicate clearly. So I've told you what you shouldn't do. Let's talk about what you should do, because there is a better way, and that is that you show, you don't tell. All right, I've studied this stuff for decades. People are visual learners. You've got to be able to point to something and show them what's wrong. So one example, one way to do that is you get yourself a good quality wall chart. You show the way that the channels run through the body. You explain the flow in a channel and say, you know, here's the channel that is involved. The flow is blocked. We're going to use acupuncture to restore that flow so things can function. You don't have to explain that you're treating the symptom. You explain that you're treating the patient so that the energy can flow and everything can work. It's really not that hard to explain, especially when you can do it visually. when you can point to what's going on without using jargons and terms that people don't understand. So you show where the energy is blocked or disturbed. You relate it to their physical symptoms. For example, you can say, look, see how that channel runs through your shoulder and down your arm, and the disturbance in that channel means that you're having this shoulder pain. It becomes very easy for people to understand. They actually like it. They're impressed. They're going, this is really cool. I had no idea what acupuncture was even about. I thought it was a religion. I thought it was cosmetic. I thought it was a relaxation spa treatment. And when they find out, no, here's how it relates to what's going on in your body, and here's how we're going to fix it, they love it. They absolutely love it. Western-minded people love this stuff. They're curious. They're intrigued. Here's another one. You see how this pathway connects to your stomach, and when we correct the pathway, then the problems you're having with digestion will improve. And acupuncture, we're going to remove the blockage so the energy flows. That's it. It's very simple. You can explain it in a minute and a half and get started treating them. Now, if you need a good chart, stay tuned. We'll talk to you a little bit later about how to get your hands on a good acupuncture chart. No big deal. I'll share that, and I'll share my favorite method of displaying and talking to people visually at the end. But for now, think about how you explain to your patients, and whatever you're doing, do it visually and get rid of the jargon. Now, one final thought on the first key, which is communication, and that is this. The environment communicates too. What you wear, how you talk, what your clinic looks like, how you decorate your clinic, what's on the tables, what's on the walls, all of that says something about you and about the care that you provide. If it's all sandals and candles and burning incense, if that's what you want to portray, think about how that's going to be viewed. Oh, is this a relaxation spa thing, or is this some ancient religious weird notion? Or is this something that is modern, reliable, objective, scientific, proven, and real healthcare? You've got to decide what it is you're going to portray in your clinic, in your dress, in your demeanor, and in your language. But if you're not doing it intentionally, then guess what? You're going to do it unintentionally, and people will take from that what they want. Just this week, I was in a foreign capital in Europe, in a city, and we had some time to kill. I was there with Tim Sella, who is our one of our totally cool and capable employees here, and we went around to look at some other acupuncture clinics, and it was amazing. We saw the gamut, everything from filthy, dirty squalor that really did look, third world nasty, and I wouldn't want nose needles stuck in my body, all the way to modern, clean, well decorated, reliable, trustworthy healthcare clinic. It runs the gamut. Which one are you? Which one is most successful? Which one do you want to be? So think about that when you think about communication, and that covers it for the first key. All right. Hopefully there's something in there that was non-obvious to you, but the main thing you got to keep in mind is there's only two jobs here to communicate. You know what's wrong and you know how to fix it. Boom. They're happy with that. Ready for the next key? All right, here we go. I think my clicker is having some problems here. I'll give it the old tap test. That ought to fix it. Here comes the next key. Number 2 is expectation. Expectation, that's really important. Correct expectations are the dividing line between success and failure in any business. And believe it or not, you are running a business, so let's just get past the ideas that we're not. Expectations are the key. I don't care if you're running a sewing machine repair business or a hair salon or a diesel mechanic shop. If you set expectations correctly and then meet or exceed those expectations, your customer is happy. If you fail to set those expectations and meet those expectations, your customer is unhappy. Period, end of story, no matter what business you run. Let me give an example of this. Here at the Meridia offices, there was a window washing company that came around and said, hey, do you want to have your windows washed? And hey, do you want to, like a contract, will come back every 3 months and wash your windows? And I looked around and the windows were honestly really grimy. And I said, yeah, we really should do that. Will you wash our windows? And they said, yep, great. And they went around and they didn't take the screens off the windows, and they sprayed, and that was it. Now, where I come from, you take the screens off, you scrub with the thing, you squeegee it off, and the windows look crystal clear and perfect when you're done. You put the screens back on after you clean them out, and you go. These guys, they came around, they sprayed right through the screens, and they left. And then they handed me my bill and wanted to be paid. Now, I told you my expectations, and I told you what they did. They have failed. They failed to meet expectations, and they said, here's your bill. And I went and looked at the windows, and I said, I'm not, the guys, the windows are wet, there's foamy stuff all over them, they're streaking. I'm sorry, but what did you do? And, you feel guilty, you want to pay him, but I'm just like, what on earth? Well, then they said, listen, we use an entirely new method. It is like magic. You are going to love what we just did. Watch, because as this recedes, it's got a special surfactant chemical in the soap that we used, and it's going to dry crystal clear. The dirt is gone, the screens are gone, and because we can do it so efficiently, we can charge you less than everybody else. The squeegee guy would have been more money, and you have to wait. It takes 30 minutes for everything to dry out. You're going to love the results. Okay, all right, fair enough, paid the bill. Guess what? They weren't lying, okay? It turned out beautiful, but they almost lost me as a customer, because if I would have said, fine, paid the bill and left, or they left, I was mad, I felt ripped off, and I would never let them come back. They failed to set expectations. If they would have told me at the outset, we use an entirely new system, it is more efficient, it is better, and it is cheaper, you're going to love this, watch, I would have been raving and recommending them to everybody I knew. They failed to set expectations, and they almost lost me as a customer. They only saved it at the end because I complained. Do you want that to be you? Do you want your customers to leave upset? Or if they speak up to you and say, hey, wait a minute, I thought X, Y, and Z, and maybe you can save it? No, that is not ideal. So, correct expectations are the dividing line between success and failure. And it's not even that you have to do a great job. Now, I know you do, don't get me wrong, but think about it. Have you ever called the cable company or your cell phone company? How do you expect to be treated? Do you expect you're going to be on hold for 30 minutes? Yes. Do you expect you're going to be bounced around from department to department? Yes. Do you expect the person you finally get connected with won't have any idea what you're talking about and won't know the answer? Yes. You expect that. Therefore, when that's exactly what they do to you, you walk away going, yeah, that's the cable company, and you wish things were better, but you're not about to cancel because you knew that was going to be that way. So they met the expectations. The thing is, they've set them so low, they've trained you that you expect to be abused by them. And so when you get abused by them, you're satisfied. But if you set the expectations correctly so that they know what to expect as your patient, then you can exceed them and you win. You're a hero. So, setting correct expectations at the very first encounter, which is usually your initial consultation, this is key. You must do this. Expectations about what, though? Well, the obvious, like, what's it going to be like to get acupuncture? Because a lot of people have never had acupuncture before. How long is it going to take? What's the financial commitment? What do I have to do at home? Is this going to hurt? That's the number one question everybody has. And so you have to address all that up front. Don't let them find out as they go, because you're letting them go into it with the expectations they walked in the door with. Don't do that. Before you do anything, fix their expectations, because they get the ones they have. They got that from watching TV or from the popular press or whatever. They think you're going to stick 40 needles in their face and then you're going to chant and, I don't know, wave a rubber chicken around. Whatever it is, don't let them keep those expectations. Fix it at the outset. And the most important expectation that you can possibly set is how to tell the treatment is working. And the reason you have to set that expectation is because if you don't, patients will naturally default to the expectation that I won't know if acupuncture works unless I feel better. You don't want that to be you don't want symptoms to be the only indicator of whether there is healing going on. In fact, if your success is based on symptoms, I guarantee you will fail. That's a big guarantee. Let's think about why is that? having a symptoms-based practice is guaranteed failure. I'll just take a sip of water, let that sink in, and here's the answer. What happens if you get that miracle? Somebody comes in, they've got a bad problem, you treat them, bam, immediately they feel better, immediate change, and it's great. Congratulations, they're not coming back. Good job. You solved their problem. You got one visit, maybe two, and that's that. Did you make a real difference? Well, yeah, I mean, you helped them. But did you make a fundamental shift in their health? No, you didn't. You just fixed a symptom. Nice Band-Aid. Good job. They're not coming back. But what if they don't get better? Guess what? They're not coming back because you set it out as symptoms. If you feel better, we're done. If you don't feel better, it failed. That's what they came in thinking. In fact, how many of your patients say, well, I'm just going to give this a try, right? They've been everywhere else. You're the last stop on the desperation train. And finally, they're like, well, I've tried everything else. It hasn't worked. I guess I'll go try that acupuncture stuff and see if that works. That's a symptom-based expectation. It's guaranteed failure. You've got to change that. So if symptoms are secondary, then what comes first? How can you change the conversation so that it's not about symptoms anymore? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in our third key. But first, you've got to make sure you've communicated accurately, you've established correct expectations for how this is going to go, what you're going to do, what you expect from them, and so on, so that you guys can both be on the same page. Now, how do you prove that it's actually working? This brings us to key number 3, and that is demonstration. Demonstration is how you back up the first 2 keys, communication and expectation. What does it mean to demonstrate? Well, really, you have to demonstrate 2 things to your patients. First of all, that it is working. And you do that without reference to symptoms. You've got to demonstrate that it's working whether or not the symptoms have cleared up yet. And second, you've got to demonstrate that they're getting better in specific, real ways beyond just the chief complaint. I recognize that everybody wants their chief complaint solved. That's why they came in the door, of course. And of course you're going to do that. But if that's all it's about, we've already covered that, we know where that goes. Instead, you want to make the conversation about something broader and more important than that, and that is their overall health, their overall meridian function and picture, so that they can experience maximum health in life. So how can you provide proof that acupuncture works? This is a tough one. This is where the breakdown happens for so many of us because we revert back to symptoms. Well, your headache's gone, isn't it? Yes, but how do you know that it's working beyond that? Is it just a Band-Aid? Is it just about pain? In our survey, by the way, a little statistic, it's not on the slides, but here it is. The number 1 reason people seek acupuncture care, and this won't surprise you, is pain. Everybody comes to the acupuncturist because they're in pain. And they expect to get out of pain, and that's the symptom-based, and we're back on that treadmill, and you are a Band-Aid. But the question is, what other aspects of life improve if they get acupuncture from you? If you turn attention away from their chief complaint, and you look at other things like, has their sleep improved? Are their emotions more stable? Do they have more energy? Are they more able to get out and do the things they love? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then you can demonstrate that acupuncture is about changing the whole person. It's about changing the life, not simply about changing a symptom. By the way, this is one of the number 1 ways we know that acupuncture is not just some kind of a fancy placebo, because universally, and you've all experienced this, people's lives improve in many ways, not just their symptom. They may come to you for a symptom and leave with a whole new life. That's what we're called to do, and it's beautiful and amazing. So there's different ways that you can demonstrate that improvement. You know, you could do blood work, you could do other kinds of testing, you can do muscle testing and O-ring. There's various ways you can show that people are making improvements. Physical testing and balance testing and all kinds of things. And none of those are really perfect, I'll admit. But it gives you some tools in your toolbox beyond symptoms so that you can prove that real changes are taking place in their life. And if you can prove that, it is very convincing. and they would much rather come see you than go get another prescription for more pills from the doctor, or get told they're going to need surgery, or just live with the pain, for heaven's sakes. So let's remember why all this matters. When you master these 3 keys, when you do these things properly, your patients thrive, they understand how acupuncture works, they know that they can trust you to get the work done. Other doctors and other healthcare practitioners will refer to you when they understand these things. People get the help they truly need. You change the world. Can you see it? Can you believe in it? If you do these 3 things, you're going to have a successful practice. And these are the 3 things we find that those successful acupuncturists do consistently. And on the flip side, we find that the less successful acupuncturists don't do these things very well or at all. So, it may feel simple, but time and again, I've seen these 3 fundamental keys change the lives of practitioners and patients all over the world. And it's time for you to join them, to step into your power, to have the practice of your dreams. Are you interested? Would you like that? Do you think that's possible for you? If I haven't yet convinced you that it's possible, then I'm not done. I'm going to keep going until you believe it. Because you are being called upon by patients everywhere who are sick and who don't understand why they're sick. Will you answer that call? You're being called upon to legitimize acupuncture in a Western-dominated medical system. Will you answer that call? You're being called upon to reach more patients than ever before with a medicine that will actually heal them, that will help them understand their bodies, that will give them a new life. You are called to be that person. Will you answer that call? And have I yet delivered some value to you for your time thus far today? In the webinar, have you learned at least one new thing that you can take back to your practice and do better? And if you have, then my effort and my time has been worth it thus far. But I'm not done with yet, and I don't think you're done either. So let's talk about where the rubber meets the road. Okay, this is where it gets real, folks. What do you do? Now what? If you like the ideas that I've got, if you believe that these are going to make some changes in your clinic, if you can envision or even hope for that better life that I've talked about, with that work-life balance, with those patients that are getting better and that love you and that refer, and without stress about money. If you can even hope for that, then the real question in your mind, I hope, is, well, now what do I do? Because it's one thing to learn these ideas, but you have to take that through implementation. You got to do something about it. Implementation is all that actually matters. I do not want you to leave here today and say, yeah, that was a pretty good webinar. What's for lunch? I want you to leave here today with a burning desire and a commitment in your heart that you are going to make at least one change in your practice, that you are going to implement something that you heard today so that your time and my time wasn't spent in vain, because I am trying to be so much more than just a really good-looking entertainer up here. All right, so here we go. How do we implement? Now I'm going to talk to you about a system that seamlessly combines the 3 keys into one powerful tool. This will help communicate flawlessly with your patients, set expectations, and most importantly, it will demonstrate to your patients in undeniable ways that they're on the right track, that they're getting better, that they're achieving balance, that they're healing, even if the symptoms haven't responded yet. Even if they don't feel it yet, they will believe it. In fact, they may believe it's their only hope and they have to stick with you because those changes are coming. How would you like patients like that? This is a system that allows our practitioners to make, on average, 50% more than their peers. It's a system Kenzie uses in her free consults to have that 100% conversion rate to become patients. It's a system that helped Jillian close her first 7 consults with 10 treatment or 20 treatment prepaid plans in January. And it's a system that gives unbiased, remarkable insight into what's going on in your patients' meridians to help them get better faster. It's what I've spent the last 20 years working on, creating, solving the problems, and improving to the point that today I can present it, and I can present it in this way because I'm convinced and those who use this are convinced. And so here we go. I would like you to meet Acugraph. Now, I know for a fact that a third of you on this webinar today already know about Acugraph and perhaps already have Acugraph, and that's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad, and that doesn't matter because I'm going to teach you things in the rest of this webinar that are still going to help you to use Acugraph better. But for those who don't know about Acugraph, I'm talking to you now, okay? This is our flagship product. It consists of a 3-minute electronic exam on the Yuan source points. You just take a probe, you put it on the points. It communicates to your patients. Your care is modern, it's scientific, it's objective, and it's reliable. And in fact, it's so easy to explain, we're going to do it for you. So I'm just going to hit this video, and this will explain to your patients exactly what this does and why it works. So here is the patient explanation video.
In traditional Chinese medicine theory, there are many pathways or channels of energy that run through your body. The channels exist synergistically, each of them contributing to the health and vitality of the others. In Chinese medicine, these channels are known as meridians, and the sustaining energy or life force that runs through them is called qi. Each meridian connects with muscles, tendons, bones, ligaments, and internal organs. For instance, the small intestine meridian starts in your small finger and flows all the way through your arm, shoulder, and neck and into your ear. It affects these muscles and flows through this internal pathway, which then affects your ears, eyes, neck, heart, digestive system, stomach, leg, and knee. All the meridians affect different parts of the body, but they're all connected to each other. Your practitioner uses the Acugraph system, which combines this ancient wisdom with modern science to electronically measure the qi in your meridians using acupuncture points on your hands and feet. After your short Acugraph exam is complete, your practitioner will show you a chart of the energy in your body, which will indicate where the qi is blocked and how your practitioner can help restore balance and function. An imbalanced chart means that qi is not moving well through the meridians. Imbalances, if left untreated, lead to symptoms. A meridian shown in blue indicates deficiency in qi. One shown in red indicates excessive qi. And one in purple indicates that that meridian's qi is unevenly distributed between the right and left sides of the body. Green means that your energy is flowing well and in balance. Based on your symptoms and Acugraph's findings, your practitioner will create an effective treatment plan to restore balance and address your symptoms. You will be able to watch your progress from visit to visit. As your graph becomes greener, your body will become more balanced, allowing it to heal and thrive naturally. This will lead to a decrease in symptoms and improved health and well-being in your life. We hope that you enjoy the insight that Acugraph gives you into your unique pattern of energy, and we wish you joy on your journey to healing.
Alrighty, that video that you just saw was the patient education video that comes with the Acugraph system. Let me ask you, is that easy for a patient to understand? Was it mysterious at all? What imagery was portrayed? What did it communicate about acupuncture and about expectations for your patient? It does this stuff for you. Communication and expectations just got set, and it happened in 3 minutes. That is a great way to start. Meanwhile, Acugraph, it is a way to visually communicate. Remember the 2 most important things you have to communicate. I hope you can say it with me now. The 2 things that you have to communicate to your patient to succeed. I know what's wrong, and I know how to fix it. I hope, say it with me. I know what's wrong, and I know how to fix it. And if you look at the visual on your screen right now, I haven't told you anything about what this chart is or what it means, but from across the room with one eye closed even, can you tell me where something is different? Can you point to what's wrong? Yeah, you can. Your patients can. You don't even have to explain, but you will. You'll say, look, we've measured the energy channels of your body, and the green ones, those are working in optimal ways. Those are in good shape, but you can see there's a few that are off, and we're going to fix that. And by the way, that one that's off right there, that is why you're having the problem you're having. When we fix this energy channel, then that problem's going to improve. You can literally explain it like that. What I just said is enough to satisfy 95% of your patients. They're going to say, great, sounds good. I've had patients literally break down in tears when I've explained it that simply. And in one case, I asked this patient, I said, why are you crying? And she said, you're the first place I've been, the first doctor I've talked to that's told me, you know what's wrong. Everyone else says they have no idea, or it's in my head, or I need to take an antidepressant. You're the first person who said that there's some hope. You may be that first person for your patients, and you need to be that first person. So, you have a chart like this. You can immediately point to what's wrong. You can immediately say, this right here is the issue. Then you can show them. Say, oh, well, and that channel that we're talking about, look where it runs, and it goes up here, and this explains that pain you're having in your shoulder. And these are the muscle groups that it affects, and when the energy is off in that channel, you have issues in these areas. You can show them the internal channels, for example, how it goes, where it goes, how it affects internal organs, how it explains what they're experiencing, and you don't have to use TCM terms at all. It's literally just connect the dots. It's literally point A to point B. Here's where the line runs, here's where the problem is. Can we fix it? Yes, let's fix it. You can also show them the points you're going to treat. Because if they've never had acupuncture before, remember that expectation in their head, you're going to stick 40 needles in my face and it's going to be scary and awful. So you can actually show them, here are the points we're going to treat because we're going to restore balance to what's going on in this chart. And by treating these points, you will experience these shifts, and now their expectations are perfectly aligned, because you've shown them what you're going to do before you do it. Then when you do it and they get the results that you said they would get, you have met their expectations and they are pleased. That is called a happy customer. Even if the symptoms don't go away right away on the first visit, they are still happy because you never said they would. In fact, you told them your symptoms might not go away the first visit because this is a process and we're going to start, but we will be able to demonstrate that when we treat these points, or whichever points you're going to treat, you can demonstrate the changes. We'll show that in a minute, but on the topic of setting expectations, it teaches your patients visually what to expect from your care, and it gives them something to look at that constitutes improvement beyond symptoms. They can look at that graph and they can see that it has changed even if the symptoms haven't responded yet. So it demonstrates, irrefutably demonstrates improvement over time. So you saw this little vignette in the video here. We have these smiling, happy people with their before and after graphs. I want you to know something. These are real people, and those are real graphs. And the before and after stuff is very real. So when they come in, and that graph that was a mess before treatment, and then you treat them, and there's demonstrable improvement, that you have made changes that are objectively measurable in their body. Is there any question in their mind that you're doing your job and it's working? None whatsoever. You've got the proof. It's objective. It's proven by technology that's been refined over literally starting in 1950 that demonstrates and proves acupuncture works and that it's working for them. Something that Dr. Kenzie told me. In fact, Dr. Kenzie, do you want to pop in and explain this little comment about, are you psychic?
Yeah, I for sure can. So oftentimes when I take a new patient's graph and I'm going through, the emotional aspects of the meridian lines and bringing up maybe things that I can see in the graph that they didn't bring up in their intake form or in our conversation, they almost always are like, they look kind of weirded out. And I often get asked, are you psychic? And I'm like, no, it is just science. It is just how the meridians work.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I love it. I've had that same experience, but I wanted to let you have the fun of telling us about it, so thank you for that. Yeah, people, oftentimes the report that Acugraph gives will nail them so clearly that they're going, you know, how did you know? How did you get it so quick? And I tell them, well, that's the magic of acupuncture. There's a reason this has been around for 4,000 years, guys. There's a reason this was the primary healthcare system for the largest nation in the world for so many years. It's because it works. But now you have the proof it works. So how does it work? Well, I'll show you. Acugraph is based on a Japanese approach called Raku, measuring electrical skin resistance at the yuan source points. So you measure the yuan source points on the hands and feet. The exam is simple. It takes less than 3 minutes. And when that's done, then you immediately get the graph. Here's what the system looks like. So in the top right here, you see you've got a computer. You've got the hardware connected to the computer. The hardware sits on this nice little desk caddy. It's super easy. It looks very nice, very technological, very advanced for your office. And it all fits in this little carrying case that you see here. So it's super simple to have around, very easy to use and very easy to live with. And when you have the Acugraph system, here's what you get. You get, first of all, the software license. You can download that digitally. You can literally have it on your computer today. And that lets you put it on up to 10 computers. So if you have, I don't know, a computer at your front desk plus one in your consultation room and maybe a computer you have at home, you can put it on all three, no problem. And it'll have your patient information shared securely on any of your computers you put it on. You also get the Acugraph instrument. This is the hardware. This is the probe that you use to take the electrical measurements that generate the graph. And that comes with the system. It plugs right into your USB port on your computer. You get the carry case so that you can take it mobile if you need to. You get the graphing station, the graphing supplies. Supplies is, frankly, the Q-tips that go in the end of the probe that you graph with so that you can moisten them with a little bit of water and get a good electrical connection on the skin. Super simple, easy to do. We even include 100 patient education brochures so your patients can leave with something tangible in their hands that explains why they came to the right place and why they're going to get the right results. You'll absolutely love that. The system allows you to have unlimited number of active patients, and you're going to need it because your practice is going to grow. It comes with an ongoing hardware warranty, which you can renew. You can literally have 10-year-old equipment, and if something breaks, we send you a new one right away because we're serious about taking care of our customers, and this is the real deal. You get listed in our practitioner directory for referrals because there are literally patients all over the world looking for someone who has Acugraph and who can do this for them because once they've experienced it, they don't want to go anywhere else. You get secure HIPAA-compliant email, and that does say email, not email. Pretend there's an L there, guys. I think it's behind the graphic. I'll fix that on the slide. And you get complete training and certification in the system so that you are an expert. And that is at your own self-paced online training with a certification at the end so that you can have a certificate that says you've been properly trained, you know what you're doing, and you are a practitioner that can be trusted. But there's more. 60 free CEU credits of our advanced training. Not only do you get the advanced training, the seminars, the live events we've done over the years, but you get CEU credits for taking that training so you can get your license renewal credits while you are improving your advanced skills with the Acugraph system. You get certification training, which I mentioned, and that wows your patients and colleagues, and you get access to our Acugraph Mastermind Facebook group where you can ask questions, you can put up graphs, you can talk to other like-minded practitioners, bounce ideas around, get help with tough cases. It's really a wonderful, supportive community. So, if you get Acugraph, how is it delivered? Well, the hardware portion ships to you free, and it typically goes out the day you order. So you'll have that in 2 or 3 days. We ship priority. The software and the training are both downloadable today. Right now, so you can literally get started 5 minutes after this webinar is over. It works on Mac and Windows. It's not for iPads and tablets, it's for full computers because you need a USB port to plug it in. And when you purchase, the first thing that happens is you get an email that guides you through the process of creating your account and downloading the software so you can get started and get your training going and become part of our family. And in our family, you get very well taken care of. We have in-house customer service and tech support. There's no robots, there's no phone tree where you have to press this and press that and never talk to a human. You call us, we answer the phone. If you need help, we help you. It's refreshing. In fact, it's so refreshing that our average customer company rating is 4.9. We take that seriously, and we work very hard to meet and exceed your expectations every day. There's further support, training, and guidance to help you. We put on webinars, we put on live events. So this is a long-term commitment to your success. And we know that if you will implement what we say, if you will apply these principles and use the system, you will see the growth. I don't care if you're lousy at marketing. I don't care if your English language skills are poor. I don't care whatever excuse you may have for why you're not succeeding. I have watched time and time again every one of those excuses fall by the wayside. One of the most successful practitioners I've ever seen with Acugraph, English was her second language, and she wasn't particularly good with it. And that's okay. It's a challenge and a struggle when you're an immigrant. Yet she was here, struggling to communicate. She used Acugraph, and she set the record for new patients because she let the system communicate for her, and people trusted it. It's amazing, and it's inspiring. It's one of the most beautiful stories I've ever seen. So the question then, not what's it going to cost, but what is it worth? Well, this one that I just told you about, this woman that had trouble with the English language, the record that she set, she went to a health fair, she set up Acugraph, she followed step by step the training that we give for marketing, because we also give marketing training, we want you to succeed. She did it step by step. She didn't reinvent the wheel, she didn't have to. She booked 72 new patients in one weekend. Now, think about that. If the average value of a new patient is $500, and that's low, I'm intentionally setting it very low because typically the average value of a patient is more than that. But we're setting it super low, $500, that's like 5 visits. And at that low end estimate, 72 new patients is an immediate $36,000 boost to the practice with one event in one weekend. Now, what if you did that quarterly? Well, that'd be $144,000. Again, a very conservative estimate. If you did that monthly, the numbers get stupid. You're pushing $500,000. Have I blown your mind yet with these numbers? Now, I'm not saying you have to get these kinds of numbers, and I told you this is the record. This is the highest, and it was set by somebody, like I said, who didn't have great communication abilities. But what about a typical result? Forget shooting the moon. What about what you can expect? If you were to use Acugraph, and because you have this ability to communicate, this ability to set expectations and demonstrate, let's say you get 100 new patients in a year, which is very achievable and very typical for an Acugraph user. And again, setting that number super low, if each patient spends $500 with you, that just added $50,000 to your bottom line this year. What would that do to your practice? What would 100 new patients this year do for your practice? I've talked to so many practitioners who, when we get really honest, and when I'm a listening ear and someone who understands, and I say, look, tell me how it's really going. How many patients do you have on the books this week? 3. 3 patients on the books this week, yeah. What would 5 new patients do to your practice? More than double it. Revolutionize it. I might be able to pay the rent. 5 is child's play. What about 10, 20 new patients? How about let's, this weekend, get you 20 new patients? You ready for that? This is life-changing stuff, guys. All right, what about the low end? If you only add those 10 new patients and each one's only worth $500, that's an immediate $5,000 change in your bottom line. Well, that's not bad. You've more than paid for your investment. You put money back in your pocket. So if you don't want to expend any effort at all, you're just barely even going to try, you still can have enough success to make this not only justified, but well worth doing. So I've talked about hard numbers. Enough about the numbers. What about the intangibles? What's it worth to you if you're more confident, more accurate in your practice? And what's it worth if your patients start getting better faster and stick around for wellness care after they're better because you've demonstrated that there's an ongoing need to keep things tuned up, and you can prove it, and you can show them the tune-ups. And what's it worth if patients are so obsessed with their graph that they start to refer other patients and your practice fills up with people who like to see that graph get all green, who like to see the improvements, who know they're doing something good for their health because they're coming to see you? It's like that New Year's resolution, but going to the gym is hard after January. But going to you is easy. Once a month, come in, get tuned up. You're doing something good for your health that will matter in your life. What if you never had to worry about paying the bills again, or worry about whether you're going to be able to pay that student loan payment again? What if your confidence in your treatment plans was restored because you could see the irrefutable proof of progress in your patients? Too many practitioners struggle from a lack of confidence. That shouldn't be you. What's it worth to you if your patients come to you first rather than last? And if they come to you to prevent problems rather than to try to fix the problems now that have already happened because they didn't come? This is what AccuGraph users experience. In fact, one of the biggest changes is the number of wellness patients, the number of people who are on board with a monthly tune-up. There's no dollar amount that's going to quantify the power of these intangibles and the benefits that AccuGraph brings to your practice and to your life, let alone for your patients. And so what should we charge? That's the real question. If we charged $50,000, well, a typical practice, a modest estimate is AccuGraph is worth $50,000, but there's no way we're going to charge that. It doesn't cost anywhere near that. In fact, time to hit the clicker again. Here we go. Let's see if it'll click. There. We want AccuGraph to be accessible and affordable. So what should we be charging? Well, think about this. What do you spend on other systems? I'll bet a number of you are using the Jane app for your scheduling, billing, the basics you have to run a practice. And you're spending somewhere between, 80 to hundreds per month. Or maybe you're using Unified Practice, another great system. And you're spending somewhere between 60 and 120 a month on that or more with add-ons. Bottom line, you're spending well north of $1,000 a year on systems you have to have just to run a practice, and they are not communicating, they are not developing expectations, and they are not demonstrating the improvement. They are not the key to your practice growth and success. They are just what you have to run a practice. It's like paying the bill for the lights and for the internet. You have to have that, so you pay it. Well, you have to have some kind of a practice management system, so you pay it. But what's it worth to have something that's going to change your practice, to make it grow, to make it better? The truth is, those other systems don't even begin to compare because of communication, expectation, demonstration. The three keys, guys. So what AccuGraph does for you is this. You get accurate evaluation and treatment plans. You get clear communication. You get patient records that you can easily integrate with whatever EHR you're using. HIPAA-compliant email so you can send the results to your patients, give them a report that shows them exactly what's wrong and shows them the before and after. And believe me, that report, that is a prize. Your patients will take that and they will show it to people. They will say, look, I went to the acupuncturist and this is why I've been having all this pain in my stomach. And look, they fixed it and you can see how it changed and I'm feeling better. Golden. That absolutely is golden. You get enhanced insight into your patients, and frankly, you become a better practitioner because you have one more tool in your toolbox. You have pulse, you have tongue, and you have electronic diagnosis, and the three of those together give you a more complete picture. You get proof of results and unbelievable marketing power because of that proof, and you get vastly improved patient retention and compliance. So, if we were reasonable, it would be reasonable to say, hey, look, this is a $10,000 system. And I could justify that all day long. The numbers I have shown already justify that. The success that's demonstrated justifies that. And the first time a customer told me that, I was kind of shocked. Literally, somebody said, I don't know why you're not charging $10,000 for this. You're crazy. It is so worth it. And I got to thinking, and ultimately, yeah, we could do that, but I want everyone to have it. We're not charging anywhere near that because we want it to be accessible, affordable. Frankly, we want it to be a no-brainer for you Because the only way we win is if you win, and the only way all of us win is if acupuncture wins. So we're all on the same team, and we're trying to help. We're in this for the profession, we're in this for the practitioners and for the patients, we're in it for you. And because of that, Acugraph actually normally costs just $31.95 for the first year because you have to buy the hardware, and after that, then the license and the ongoing support is $9.95 a year. Extraordinarily reasonable. And you talk about a return on investment, you're not just talking about a 1 time, 2 times, 3 times return. You can have a 50 times return on your investment with Acugraph. And that's even if you're not putting in a whole ton of effort. You go to just one health fair, get 10 new patients. It's paid for itself and put money back in your pocket. It's super easy, no-brainer as an investment goes. But since you're still here, and since you've stayed this long, and we reward those who are willing to show up and who are willing to work hard, I have a special offer just for you. And even if you already own Acugraph, stay tuned. I've got an offer for Acugraph owners too. So don't go anywhere yet. But for those who don't yet have Acugraph, we're taking $300 off because you showed up today, because you took the time to listen, and because you care. You wouldn't be here if you weren't committed. Therefore, we're committed too. You've shown your commitment, I'm showing mine. We want to give you $300 off just because you showed up. And there's a link that I think my staff is putting up right now. We've also got a QR code that you can scan, but the thing you got to keep in mind, use the code webinar exclusive, okay? That code gets you the $300 off. And with that in mind, that's not even the best part. Before I get to the best part, which is even better, but stand by because questions are pouring in. I'm going to hit a couple of questions right now, and then we're going to go into the best part because there's more. But questions, let's see. Now somebody says, your sales pitch is flawless, but I need more info about how it measures the channels, surely. Surely it is dependent on how well they were TCM diagnosed and treated? Great question. This is really actually cool. It measures the channels using a small electrical current. It measures something called galvanic skin resistance. That's not anything you ever need to remember again. Essentially, it tells how well the chi is flowing in each channel, and that's how it creates the graph. The good news is, no, it doesn't matter how well they were diagnosed and how well they were treated to take a measurement. The measurement is the measurement. It's a snapshot and it's not subject to opinion, but the improvement does depend on what you do and how you treat. The good news is Acugraph gives you treatment recommendations. It says, based on these findings, here are the recommended points. Of course, you are the practitioner. You can change those points. You can add to those points. You control the treatment plan, but it does give you the starting point and says, here's what you should do. If that's all you ever do, if you just do the points it recommends, you'll see massive improvements in the graphs. Let's see, somebody says, how does it measure or calibrate the energy flow in the channels? Because patients are going to want to know. Great question. I just mentioned that. It uses a tiny electrical current that the patient won't even feel. It runs it through the channel, and it reports how well the electricity flows. Because how well the electricity flows reflects how well the chi is flowing. So that's the explanation I typically give to patients. 90+% of them are like, cool, let's go. Now, you'll have that 1% who are like engineers by profession or something and that want to dig deeper. Trust me, you take our training, you'll be able to very comfortably dig deeper and answer their questions. Folks, it's not rocket science. It's actually amazingly simple. And I guarantee you are smart enough to understand this, to explain it, to competently use it, and to get the results. No problem. Oh, and by the way, if you ever are stumped on a question, you call us. You talk to me, I'll answer the questions. You talk to our other practitioners or our staff here. We're here for you. Somebody says, how do you explain if there are fewer green meridians next week? I love this question. This is one of my favorites. So you measure them, you get a graph, and then you treat them, and next week the graph looks worse. Oh no, what are you going to do? The answer is you're going to look them in the eye and smile, and you're going to say, it's a good thing we checked, isn't it? Your body's changing. This is why we do this. You've responded, things are moving in your body, stuff got a little out of balance before it comes back into balance, and now we know what to do. That's why we run this graph. That's why we do this exam. And they say, man, I've got a competent acupuncturist. This is a conscientious practitioner. She is looking out for me. She cares. So you look good either way. You aren't responsible for their results, but you are responsible for knowing what's going on. Win-win. Somebody says, should we do before and after each session? Yes, at least before each session would be ideal, because you can see what's changed, you can see what you're going to treat, and most importantly, what does it communicate to your patient if you measure each time? It communicates that you're conscientious, that you're careful, that you are keeping up with exactly what's going on, and you're working on today's news today. You have a real-time snapshot, so they know that you care. You don't need to do it after each session, and in fact, we don't recommend after each session, because if you do it after the session, after you've treated, you'll find that you've stirred up the pot. Things are moving, chi is flowing. It's going to take at least a horary cycle to settle down. So we recommend before treatment. All right, now there are more questions coming in. I'll get back to more questions. Meanwhile, keep adding questions, guys. But I got to tell you this stuff. I'm excited because I promised you the best part was coming. Let me give you the best part. We have a bunch of bonuses for you. $1,800 worth of bonuses for people that order AccuGraph today. First of all, remember that wall chart I talked about before, which you can point to, you can show. It's very visual, it's very convincing, people love it. And it can be on the wall in your clinic. That's a $39 value. That's absolutely free. It's impressive and it's fun. You've got to have this. Second, our Health Fair Success Blueprint, or how to blow up your practice in one weekend. You want to ruin your, it says actually how to blow up your practice and ruin your life. And we said that tongue in cheek because honestly, there's a limit to how many new patients you can accept. Remember I told you that example, and this was the atypical one where she got 72 new patients from one event. It blew up her practice. She had to hire 2 acupuncturists immediately just to cover the workload. How would you like to have that kind of a problem? And if that's not your jam, you don't want that problem, hey, let's be reasonable. How about 10 new patients? And you do that every 2 months. No problem. Actually, it starts to do it by itself because once you get the ball rolling, it becomes 100% referral. And so you don't have to do marketing efforts ongoing. But we're going to throw in how to get that ball rolling with the Health Fair Success Blueprint. Number 3, the power of auriculotherapy. I haven't even mentioned auriculotherapy today. This is something else that we do. But if you buy AccuGraph, if you become a user, we're going to give you our Auriculo 360 software, the industry-leading premier 3-dimensional reference software for auricular. It goes on your laptop, it goes on your phone, it goes on your tablet, and we're going to include our complete line of professional ear seeds. And so all of that, it's a $200 value. We're going to give you that for free. We're also going to throw in our cool lasers, one of my favorite things that we've sold for the last 20 years. Fast, super easy, non-invasive acupuncture point stimulation. Red and blue lasers, red tonifies, blue sedates. Absolutely indispensable practice tool. We have so many practitioners who say, look, yeah, this is my go-to when I've got a point I don't want to put a needle in, or I've got a child, or I've got someone needle phobic. Boom, grab a laser, get it done, fast, easy, clean. It's wonderful. You're going to love them. Number 5, now this is really cool. Bonus masterminding with the master. The first 5 people to purchase get an exclusive 1-hour, one-on-one with Dr. Kenzie, who we spoke with earlier today. And this is specifically about analyzing your practice and some custom tailored coaching to help you. You're going to set goals. You're going to talk training, treatment strategy, integration, marketing angles, utilizing the AccuGraph reports. She's going to make sure that you are a boss at communicating, using AccuGraph for communication, expectation, and demonstration to wow your patients and experience success like never before. But she's busy and she's got that work-life balance and she's going to protect it. So she has offered 5 slots and no more. When they're gone, they're gone. I hope you're one of the first 5 because that alone is worth the price of admission. An hour to pick her brain and get any information and help that you need from someone who is doing it. Okay, so are you ready to change the world, guys? Let's do this. There's the link. Webinar exclusive is the code. You type that in, it'll take $300 off. And I want to mention there is a 60-day money-back guarantee. This is risk-free, okay? We don't want you stuck with something that you don't like or you're not going to use or you weren't committed to. If that's you, send it back, please. Because if you don't want to be our customer, if you're not delighted with what's going on, then we don't want you stuck with us. Please go do your thing and we'll go do ours and everybody wins. But we make that guarantee because almost never does somebody send it back because they get the results, and I think you will too. But just so that you have nothing to lose, just so that you have everything to gain, we will take on all the risk. So try it out. No problem, no fear. All right, remember, webinar exclusive. There's the code. You can hit that QR code with your phone. It'll take you right to the site. Or you can hit the link that I believe my staff is posting for you. If you already own Acugraph, though, we talked about that. And I told you that I had something for our loyal customers that already own the system. If you already own the system and you would like a second Acugraph probe. Now, let's think about why somebody would want a second probe. Let's see. They have more than one treatment room, and they have more than one computer, and they want Acugraph in each room because their practice is busy and they have a lot of clients and they're successful. And that's why they want a second probe. It's the number one thing we get asked by Acugraph users is, hey, my practice is growing. I need to have a system in each room. Can I do that? Yeah. You don't have to buy the system again. You just add a probe. No big deal. And save $200 just for being here today. Even if you already have Acugraph, I'm sure you learned something today you can use or do better. And if you need a second set of hardware, save $200. This is a different code, guys. This is the code Webinar Extra. Type that in at checkout, and it'll take $200 off. Again, this is for people who already own. If you don't already own Acugraph, then buying a second probe won't help you because you don't have the software. Okay, hopefully that's clear. Now, what's holding you back? If you are obviously interested, you're still here, maybe you're on the fence kind of hurts, it's not a good place to sit, let's talk about getting off that fence, one way or the other. If you land in the buying camp, wonderful, welcome. If you don't, not for you right now, it's okay, maybe soon. But what's holding you back? Well, the number one thing I hear, and I'll just throw out a few I hear, and then I want to hear from you. Throw me your questions. Throw me your concerns, guys. Put them in the question. We're going to get to them. But let me hit a couple of the common ones first. It costs a lot. Are we talking about cost or are we talking about value, guys? Because everything is relative. And there's nothing worse than knowing what everything costs and knowing what nothing is worth. Because what it's worth far exceeds the cost. But I get it. You got bills to pay. You got to make this work for you. I guarantee if you do what we teach in that first 60 days, it will easily pay for itself. If it doesn't, and if you don't think it will, send it back. There's no risk. Next, won't this take up more of my time in the clinic? First of all, if your clinic was that busy, you wouldn't be here. So I know you have time. However, in all seriousness, we actually find that it makes the visit more efficient. Because if you think about all the time you spend trying to explain, trying to convince, trying to convert, trying to get people to sign up or to come back or to be compliant, if all that went away and it was literally from the time you do the exam to the time they totally understand, they're on board, expectations are set, and you're ready to treat, if that was down to 2 minutes or 3 minutes on the first visit, and after that down to mere seconds, it actually becomes more efficient. You actually can see more patients in a day. And the numbers bear that out. Our practitioners do see more patients than the average, by far, by double. People say, oh, yeah, but it's computer, I'm not good with technology. You know, I'm going to be honest, most practitioners are not good with technology. All right, let's all admit it. It's okay because we built this to be super easy. We built it to be kind of idiot-proof, guys. And furthermore, if you get stuck and you have a problem, you pick up the phone and you call us, and one of us is going to answer the phone and solve your problem right then. And If it's a problem where we need to log in remotely to your computer and fix it while you watch, we'll do that while you watch. We really do take good care of our people. And customers rave about our tech support. When's the last time you wrote an email or a comment to rave about how good your problem turned out when you had a problem and how well you were treated? That happens to us routinely, guys. And I'm not trying to brag, but I am trying to brag. I want you to know that you don't have anything to worry about. We will take good care of you with our training and with our support. People say, yeah, but it's complicated. Refer to what I just said. If you go through the training and get your certification, which is very doable, very attainable for anybody, I guarantee it is not too complicated. In fact, the other day I was on a consult. I was on a Zoom meeting with two practitioners. One, and they were in a practice together. They had just bought an Acugraph and they wanted to talk. They had some questions. So I'm on Zoom with them. We're talking. One guy had done the complete training. The other guy hadn't started the training. Both very accomplished practitioners, great guys, loved them. And every time the one guy that hadn't done the training would ask a question, the other guy would answer it perfectly. And I just sat there and watched and said, man, this is a thing of beauty. I don't even have to be here because the training was that good. And his expertise was right there. So it's not too complicated. You can do this. Yeah, but I don't have the bandwidth to make a change right now. Nope. Well, then keep doing what you've always done and keep getting what you always got. You don't get out of a rut by crawling. You leap out of the rut. You have to make the change if you want anything to change. So, is it really worth spending a little time and a little bandwidth? And again, if you were all that busy in your practice, you wouldn't be in this webinar today. Because this webinar was about keys to success. Clearly, you're looking for more success. So, have the courage, make the change. Don't be scared. We take all the risk. How long is it going to take me to see results? Well, this is awesome. We designed it for quick results, quick get started, ready to go. Once you start the training, you are going to see the results as soon as you get started. And that's why we had Dr. Jillian specifically, because within her first week, she was seeing results. She was doing the happy dance. She was explaining it was already paid for. So that's what you got to do. Don't let fear rule the day, but jump in. You'll get the results. I'm afraid this won't work for me. All right, listen. There's two kinds of pain. There's the pain of regret and there's the pain of commitment. Think about this. The pain of commitment is small. The pain of regret is large. If you jump in and you give this an honest try and for some reason it's just not going to work for you, what's the worst thing that happens? You send it back to us, we refund your money, we shake hands, we're friends, and we go our separate ways. And hey, maybe in the future we help you in another way. That's the worst outcome. Are you afraid of that? What's the best outcome though? Well, I've spent the last hour and a half talking about the best outcome. The bottom line is the pain of regret for not trying is much worse. And the hardest thing I hear from customers who buy, they call us up and they say, look, I've been wanting this for 5 years. I've been watching you guys. I know I should have done it. I finally had enough of beating my head against the wall. I'm just going to do it. Well, I'm so glad you're going to do it, but man, oh, that hurts. 5 years of struggling that you didn't have to go through. Pain of regret. Don't go through that. This seems too good to be true. Good. I'm glad it seems too good to be true. Find out for yourself. I promise you it's not. I'm telling you real numbers from real people. This is how it works. And again, you don't risk anything. Remember Dr. Jillian, Bonita Vista, Chula Vista, California, started January 1st, 7 paid consults in the first week, 10 or 20 treatment packages in those consults, and she's now seeing 8 to 12 patients a day. She made a little video. We interviewed her, and here's what she has to say about it.
We're having Acugraph. Everybody still had to go through a consultation, but I had about a 50% close rate. So 1 out of every 2 people. Since January 1st, I have had 7 consultations, and every single one of them has agreed to a treatment plan ranging from 6 to 20 treatments. My Acugraph paid for itself in a week. It excites people when you tell them what's going on with them. It's like horoscopes and tarot cards. People want to be validated. They want whatever symptoms they have going on to be validated, and Acugraph does that. Unless you purchase this and you put it in a drawer and never use it, I don't see how this could not pay for itself. Every single one of my patients, and I have patients ranging from 20-year-old middle-class white Americans to 80-year-old Filipino and 65-year-old Latinos. We run the gamut of age groups and ethnicities, and everybody loves it. This machine is a gateway to me as a doctor to really have an in-depth conversation with somebody about why one treatment is not going to fix them. If you are considering purchasing AccuGraph and you're on the fence, just buy it. That scarcity mindset is not going to serve you. Make the commitment, make the purchase, know that it will pay for itself, live in abundance, and move forward and grow.
Cool. Thanks, Dr. Jillian. By the way, shout out to Allison Knight, just bought a system. Way to go. Welcome to the family. We are so stoked for you. And you're going to be meeting with Kenzie too, because you got one of the slots. So nice job. More questions. I'm going to hit questions now. Meanwhile, I'm leaving this up. The code webinar exclusive. I'm going to hit a couple questions while we talk. Keep them coming, guys. I will stand here and answer questions as long as you keep asking them, okay? So do you do a full graph on consultation or at the health fairs? You can choose to do a half graph or a full graph. If you do a half graph, it's quick and easy, and then you can invite people to come in for a full graph for a free consult. It's an absolute winner. People will stand in line and wait for their turn to sit down with you. Literally, we have, I'm not making this up, practitioners say, I had people waiting in line an hour just for the privilege of sitting down with me and getting graphed. And then, well, if they're going to wait an hour just for the privilege of getting graphed, they're definitely going to become your patient. And that's the power of the draw of something visual and convincing. So at the health fairs, we teach that you can do it either way, whatever works for you. I've seen it very successful with both. For more about that, our health fair training, which is included as a bonus. Next question. Can we get these slides to review after this meeting? Sometimes repeats help my output. We actually will have a video replay available, so you can review and fast forward and whatever you need to do. Absolutely. And then if you have further questions, of course, you can reach out to us always. We're here. We're glad to help. All right. Any other questions right now? Yep. Okay. There are some more coming in. My staff is putting them up on the screen so that I can see them. While we're waiting for that, and we'll get to those, I just want to point out, I'm calling on you to believe in yourself, to believe in your medicine, to practice what you preach, and to take that leap of faith. Communicate, set correct expectations, demonstrate that acupuncture works, and see how your practice changes, see how the world changes. Now, whether you do that with AccuGraph or not is totally up to you, but I'm hoping you'll do it with AccuGraph because I found nothing that works better. And I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. I'm willing to let you try it out. If you don't love it, send it back. But keep in mind, these specials that we are running right now for coming here, they absolutely end this Friday night at midnight. So 11:59 p.m. this Friday, that's when these go off. So if you're going to take the leap, take it soon. Get in there, give it a try. You'll be glad you did. Back to questions. Although the graph cannot be generated from an iPad, can we easily send data to display on an iPad? Yeah, there are ways to do that. If you wanted to, say, send the graph over to your iPad so that you could sit down with a pad and talk to your patient, yeah, you could. You know what else is cool? Just off the top of my head, we have a practitioner back east, and I love what this guy did. In his treatment room, he put a big old TV up on the wall at the foot of the treatment table. So when the patient's laying on the table, they can look over above their feet, and up on the wall is a big TV. And he puts their graph right up on the big TV so that he can explain it to them. So he graphs them, he has them lay down on the table, and then he stands next to the table, takes them through the graph, and treats, just like that. It's a beautiful way to do it. The sky's the limit, guys. Whatever you can think of, you can do. And the technology makes you so trustworthy, so reliable. Because patients, when you think about it, technology is what they use. Everyone has their face in their phone all the time, and they've already Googled what's wrong with them before they came to see you. Your biggest competitor is Dr. Google at this point. So embrace it. Use the technology to your advantage in a way that builds trust. Next question, somebody says, any suggestions if there are no health fairs in the area? Yes, in our training we talk about that, but here's a couple. One that's super helpful, you go to the little mom and pop health food store down the street, okay? You can't go to the big national chain, although I've seen that work, but you go to the little local and you say, hey, I would love to drive some traffic here to your health food store by hosting a little event. I'd like to set up my computer over here on a table in the corner, and I'd like to this Saturday offer a free health screening to everybody who walks in. And you know what, we'll put out some flyers, we'll let people know so that they'll have a reason to come back to your store. Maybe you put that out 2 weeks before, whatever, you let people know. You go out, you get the word out around the area, and then you sit there Saturday and you graph whoever walks in. It's super easy to do. Anybody can do it. Other ones, there are special interest groups where there's support groups with people that have specific problems that you can potentially help. And so you show up as a guest speaker and you bring your AcuGraph and you graph somebody, and then you talk about how the graph relates to the problem that everybody in that room has. Guess what everybody in that room now wants? That's right, you. Okay, those are just a couple. We have more suggestions, but they're in our training. So yeah, there's lots of things besides health fairs where you can get in front of people who want what you have to offer. Okay, let's see. Somebody has a concern about selling a group of treatments, right? In other words, selling a treatment package, a 10 treatment or 20 treatment package. I don't address whether you do that or whether you don't do that. You don't have to do that with AcuGraph at all. You can, if you book people one patient at a time, one visit at a time, totally up to you. AcuGraph still does exactly what you want to do. If in your practice you sell packages at a discount, and that's how you approach it, AcuGraph totally works for that, if that's what you want to do. So, if you have a concern about selling treatment packages, then don't sell treatment packages. It is not something that we require or that we even necessarily promote. I'm just telling you what some people do. Other people do it a different way. Totally up to you. It works. Okay. Next question. Someone says, I'm just starting my practice and I've always wanted a visual for my practice, and this could be the ticket. Yeah, it could. Having just finished college, I need to know that I can succeed with this and my ability as a newbie acupuncturist. Thank you for the webinar. Oh, cool question. I love that. Whoever you are, thank you. Yes. In fact, how to put this, if every student understood this so that the minute they got the license, they could hit the ground running, we wouldn't see that failure rate that we see. In fact, I'm gonna show you the dirty laundry just a little bit, guys. I'm going to be real. Here's the real. The typical time that people buy AcuGraph is between 2 and 3 years into practice, okay? That's statistically speaking. That's because at that point, they've gotten out of school long enough to realize they don't know everything like they thought they did in school, because that's what school, it's designed to make you think you know everything, and that's okay, but it takes 2 to 3 years of beating your head against the wall, struggling to get new patients, trying to get a practice going. It's a sad story, but it generally is 2 to 3 years in that they finally are desperate enough that they come to us and say, you know what, maybe I should try this. Skip that 2 or 3 years of suffering. Just do it right out of the gate and don't suffer. We've seen a lot of students graduate with AcuGraph. In fact, I love it when I have parents call and say, I'm so proud of my son, he's graduating from acupuncture school, and he's always wanted this. I'm going to buy it for him as graduation present. And we're going, yes, another success. He's going to hit the ground running. So absolutely, as a student, if you start as a student, in fact, we've always supported students with great deals because we want you to hit the ground running. And yes, you set up your practice, you go out, you do a couple of events, or you follow the other advice. If you don't want to do events, we have other ways to do this. You get a practice going, and it's extremely attainable. Remember Dr. Jillian, who's been in practice a year, she's full, she's busy, she's happy. That's what you can look forward to. Okay, next, how do we integrate the AcuGraph results into unified practice charts? Super cool. You can export your results as a PDF, and you have total control over what you export, just the graph, or graph plus a treatment plan, or multiple kinds of graphs. I didn't even show you a tiny bit of what AccuGraph does, guys. But you can choose what to export. It's a one button, boom, it's a PDF, and you attach it to that patient's file in whatever note system you're using, in whatever EHR. And so, yeah, totally easy to do, totally can be done. Okay, next question coming in right now. Is electroacupuncture an appropriate treatment to use with this? Yeah, totally, totally, absolutely. Whatever you do, whatever acupuncture you do, if you had a way to instantly take a snapshot of the meridians and see where the chi is flowing and where it's blocked, would that be useful to you? And the answer is yes. Would it be useful to your patients? The answer is double yes. And so whether you're treating with needles, without needles, with electroacupuncture, whatever you do, this is useful and applicable. It doesn't treat. AccuGraph is not a treatment. It's not a treatment device. All it is an informational tool for you to communicate with your patients and to get more insight into their condition. And from there, you apply the treatment that works for you and you get great results. Okay. Let's see, more questions rolling in. Looks like we got all of them. Awesome. Those were great questions, guys. Oh, wait, nope. I'm being told my staff, there's 2 more rolling in. They're about to put them up on the screen for me. So, meanwhile, yeah, keep them coming. If you have questions, this is your chance. Okay, so this shortens the treatment time. Do you still use ordinary intake forms? That's 2 good questions. Number 1, shortens the treatment time. Generally it can. I'm not going to say it will always shorten the treatment time, but when you have better insight, it generally helps you deliver a better treatment. Now, it doesn't replace you. It's still going on in your head. You have to make the diagnosis and you have to choose the treatment points and apply the treatment. But having better information usually results in a better diagnosis and a better outcome. So it can shorten treatment time. And what was the second question? Oops. I think there were 2 questions in that, but they already rolled past it on me.
Use ordinary intake forms.
Oh, ordinary intake forms, thanks. You can, yeah. You can use ordinary intake forms. You can run your practice, your forms, and your billing, and your scheduling, and all that. You do all that with whatever system you're using. That's not what AccuGraph does. So yes, you can use ordinary intake forms as part of your intake, and you should. You know, of course, you're going to take a history. You're going to do everything that you've been taught to be a thorough and conscientious practitioner, absolutely. But then to communicate and to show what's actually going on from an acupuncture perspective, use AccuGraph. Next, I'm running my practice in a Spanish country. Do you have a Spanish version? Unfortunately, we don't. It's in English. There is some facility for changing the reports, the output, so that you can have reports in Spanish, but the entire system is in English. And so give us a call. We can tell you how to do that. We have a lot of people in non-English speaking countries who still use this because it is visual. Because it's visual, you can literally explain and point in whatever language is local, and that is still very convincing. It still gets the job done. It's absolutely applicable. And even if the report you give them is written in English, the visuals are visuals, guys, universal language. Is there a YouTube of that patient education video? Well, what it is, that's actually built into the AccuGraph software. So literally, you can push a button in the AccuGraph software and you can show the patient right then and there. We do also have it on YouTube, and we have practitioners who like to link to it so that it's embedded on their website and whatever. And we're glad to let you do that. If you're an AccuGraph user, we're here to support you. That's why we make videos like that. Okay, another question coming in. With a chronically ill patient, what if the chart never goes green? Well, guys, it's called maximum level of improvement, right? Not everyone is going to get all green, because guess what? We live on planet Earth. We're mortals. We're all subject to ill health and problems and chronic issues. And no, you can't get everybody to perfect, but you can get everybody to improve, and you're going to hit a level of maximum improvement. Now, for a lot of people, that's going to be a perfectly green graph. Everything's perfect. For other people, that's going to be a better graph. but you're going to have to keep working with them. And honestly, you know, there's lifestyle issues, there's dietary issues, people have problems, and some folks aren't going to put into it everything you'd like them to put into it, and so you're going to do the best you can. Even so, isn't it great that you have a way that you can track and a way that you can see how far they've come? I've even had people that submit this to insurance companies to show, look, here's the improvement, and no, we haven't reached maximal improvement, and so you need to cover these visits. And they've had great success doing that, getting visits covered, because they have evidence to show that they're not just trying to run this out forever, but that there is improvement happening and it hasn't hit its peak yet. So, something to think about. All right. Any other questions coming in? That got all of them? Awesome. Okay, guys, it has been so much fun today. I have really enjoyed this. I hope that the information was great. I hope that you'll walk out of here going, okay, communication, expectation, demonstration. I understand that and I can do that. If you aren't doing it with Acugraph, then I hope you'll consider it, because it is absolutely, hands down, the best, most successful way to get that done in a profession that screams for something to get that done. So please do yourself the favor and avail yourself of these tools. If I can do anything for you, reach out to me, reach out to my team. We're here for you and we're committed to your success. So thanks everybody. It's been awesome. I hope to see you again soon. And until then, we wish you all the best in your practice and in your life. Thanks.